So I did some filming of some other things today, and this vlog was going to be totally different. But, I just want to talk about this, and it doesn't really fit just in a regular vlog. So, what's been on my mind all day long, and actually pretty often on just a regular basis, is the crime in the area that I live. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. About 20 years ago, maybe more, 21, 22 years ago, I made the worst decision of my life, and that was moving to Canton, Ohio. We bought the first house we looked at, which, the rule is that you just don't do that, but we did. It was a nice house. It had been gutted and redone. Everything was redone inside, outside. Really nice big backyard. And, we put up a big privacy fence, and, we had everything for the kids, a trampoline and a swing set and everything, and it seemed like a really nice area at the time. And it quickly began to go downhill. We had everything imaginable stolen from us. Our cars broken into time after time after time after time. People would try to take our window air conditioners straight out of the window in the middle of the night while they're running. You could hear them rattling. We'd have to call the cops, and they'd come out and they'd run around the place looking for somebody. People broke down our privacy fence and came in the yard, had ladders up against the house, and called the cops. When the cops finally did catch them, the cops let them go because they claimed they were in our yard trying to get a cat off the roof. This is like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Ridiculous. Like I said, everything's stolen from us, from bikes and lawnmowers, basketballs, even shovels and anything that was outside, anything that was not nailed down or chained to the porch, gone. I remember when the lawnmower was stolen, we came outside. My wife at the time woke me up because she was freaking out. Said the lawnmower was stolen, and it was actually kind of funny. It wasn't, but it was, because when I came down and I looked outside, usually I brought the lawnmower in, but I had apparently taken it outside. I was going to use it, and then something must have taken my attention, because it got left outside and the lawn had not been mowed, because we could see the tracks from the lawnmower going back through the lawn, back towards this alley. So it was kind of funny, but, it wasn't. I moved over to this area, which is still in Canton. Wait, let me back up. At one point, I actually did leave the house. It was right after those people broke through the fence and had ladders up against the house. And I packed everything up, we left. We moved to Massillon, which is where I originally grew up from the age of like 11. And we moved into a really nice ranch on the end of a street on a corner, right down from my kids' school. They were in junior high at the time, the middle school. And we ended up leaving there after about 3 months, maybe a little bit longer, because the guy who owned that house, he had actually gone to jail for a little while because he was caught growing pot in that house. And when he first showed us the house, he still had all the tables and everything set up down there, and the water lines and everything run through the basement. And when we moved in there, and some of that stuff, he had got most of it out, but some of it was still there. And there was, I don't know if I want to call it paraphernalia, but it was like all the things that he would need to grow was still in the house. I gathered it all up, I cleaned the basement, I swept the basement, and put everything up in the garage. and he would not come to get it. We called and called and called his mom, who was actually the one who owned the house. And we finally just dropped everything, quit paying rent, and left. Because basically they breached the contract, first of all, by having, drugs in the house. And second, by coming into the house when we were not there. Because he would come in only to get things that he needed to grow pot at his new house. And he would leave everything else, and he would claim that, it was raining or something like that. So anyway, moved back to Canton. Stayed at the other house for a little bit as the crime just got worse and worse. And then I finally said, screw it. The areas got so bad that the value of my house, it just wasn't even there. I mean, it was only a fraction of what I actually owed. So I let it foreclose, and we took off. We moved over here, a different area, to rent from my parents. And I was hesitant about that because I know how Canton is. I didn't want to live here in the first place. But I moved on over here. And it's getting worse and worse and worse in this area also. I mean, it is such a normal daily occurrence to hear gunshots that we're just immune to it, basically. And just tonight, while I was filming, I was sitting on the porch for probably about 5 minutes, and I was filming the time-lapse that you watched at the beginning of this video. While I'm filming that time-lapse, you hear gunshots going off. And just at the time, I'm like, it's just, somebody setting off fireworks. Here comes the sirens. It's a daily occurrence around here. In the past 2 days, and I'm not exaggerating, in the past 2 days, there was a shooting right over that way, and a shooting right over that way. I mean, I can see both areas from my front yard. Just, a couple weeks ago, there was a drive-by in the same area over that way. There was a stabbing at a gas station over that way. And this was probably about a month ago or something, but nonetheless, it's constant. It never ends. And like my son, he was working at the time and having to walk to work. Now he's in nursing school, so he's not working anymore, but when he was walking, every time we'd hear about a stabbing or a shooting or something, I'd have to start calling around, make sure it wasn't him. And it's really ridiculous around here. I've got to get out of here. So that's one of my goals, is within the next year to get out of this area. And I understand that there is crime in every area, and there always will be. But it's not as bad in every area. A lot of people try to tell me, well, it's everywhere. But, I mean, you can walk through a minefield and hope you don't step on a mine, because there are live mines everywhere. Or you can walk through a empty field that don't have any mines, and there's still that slight chance that somebody might have put one there at some point in time. So that's what's on my mind tonight. So that's what I decided just to make this vlog about. And I gotta get out of here, man. So within the next year, that's gonna happen. That's all I have to say about that. Peace.
A van was pulled over. Troopers stopped to see the abandoned vehicle, and they found that a person was shot in that van, and they got out. The victim got out and tried to run to a nearby home.
Officers finding 3 people shot, 1 other knocked unconscious when they arrived on scene. Investigators now trying to determine if the person assaulted is connected to the shooting